Good morning everybody and welcome to Astro weather for this week, the week beginning the 25th of November. The time here is 8:20 and it is rather a grey Monday morning here in the beautiful UK. So this week, is the last week we have Jupiter in Sagittarius. And it starts off on Tuesday with the new moon in Sagittarius. So even though new moons represent beginnings and the start of a new month and all that entails, this is also the last hurrah for the Sagittarian energy. As you can see, as the week progresses, we have planets moving out of Sagittarius into Capricorn. The last planet to go will actually be Mercury, but he doesn't go for a little bit yet into Sag, and certainly the influence that he will exert will be nothing compared to the influence that Sagittarius has had this year. So what I would suggest for your new moon ritual this week would be to think about any last things that you need to do for that house that you have where Sagittarius is and that you want to get finished. Because Jupiter is going to be at 28 degrees of Sagittarius when the new moon hits, so you basically got a few more days to squeeze that last drop out so that you can make the most of it, and that energy will not be back again for another 12 years. So if it is in an important place for you, then it is imperative that you squeeze the last drop out, or that you manage to store some of that up in some way, shape or form. So put something aside that you can then go back to or restart at a later date, but make sure that you're actually starting it during this particular time to make sure it has that last influence of the Jupiter in Sagittarius. Obviously the sun will still be in Sagittarius for the rest of this month up until the middle of December, so we will still have some of that usual jollity that Sagittarius season brings with its parties and its sort of foot off the gas a little bit, but you could feel that there is that shift already taking place from moving from that Sagittarius giddy, heady, adventurous, silly, fun, wholehearted spirit that it is into the more serious and productive as well facets of Capricorn. And while Sagittarius is great at coming up with the ideas and having the fun and having the adventures, there comes a time when you have to start getting the work done and getting down to some action and being industrious and productive. You can't always live in the realm of ideas, and it can't always be weekends. There's always got to be a Monday morning that comes where you have to get back to it and get back to reality again. And people look on Capricorn sometimes as being a bit dour and a bit sober and a bit boring, but that energy is needed sometimes to be able to get things done and to do the hard work so that the rewards can come of that. And that's one of the things about Jupiter in Capricorn. It's looking to the longer term rather than the superficial, and to the present, and kind of live fast, die young, all into the party mode, and that's going to be it. There is a time when we have to stop that and become more serious and get things done and look towards the future so that we can plan for that rainy day and squirrel things away for when we need them. So as we move through this week, we will see that energy shift, and it'd be interesting to see where that takes us, particularly in the wider world, as we look towards here in the UK towards the election on the 12th of December. And it's interesting that we don't usually have an election at this time of year, so that in itself is an interesting phenomenon. We usually have it during Taurus season, so around May time, and sometimes even into June, into Gemini season. But it is very unusual for us to have a major election in December in Sagittarius season. And also, particularly when you look at the fact that Jupiter has switched signs and it is joining Saturn and Pluto, where there's been a lot of work going on for quite a long time. So, I mean, Pluto shifted into Capricorn in 2008, and Saturn has been in Capricorn since 2017. So, we've been working with these energies on and off, particularly as it's hit in onto the sun and the personal planets. You've only got to look back to the sort of time in June and July, early July of this year, where we had that big pile up of planets all opposing Saturn and Pluto, and the influence that that brought. And you know, feeling like that, you know, that it was particularly like nose to the grindstone, and that you couldn't get things shifted, and there was a lot of work to do. So it's not as if when Jupiter shifts as if it'll be anything new. I think the difference is that unlike Saturn, Pluto, which really bring us the hard lessons and, you know, teach us about ancestral wrong, particularly with Pluto, looking at what we have done as a civilization, what we have done as a nation, what we have done even as a family, where things need to change. And Saturn, obviously the lord of hard work, has brought us you know, that extra Capricorn nose to the grindstone kind of a feel for the last few years. So say we are used to do it, but say with Jupiter, it brings along, even though Jupiter doesn't like being in Capricorn, because the planet of expansion does not want to be in the sign of contraction and restriction, it can bring benefits. And it is the idea that some of the work that you have doing will start to see fruition. So it depends on how well really that you've coped with these energies of Saturn and Pluto, and you know, to see where that's been happening. If you look to where Capricorn is in your chart and that particular house that it's been highlighting, because that area will have an extra boost over the next 12 months. So bringing those opportunities and that good fortune, whereby previously you have not maybe had as much luck, and it's felt like more lessons and hard work and endurance than it has been anything else. And to me, I think that the Jupiter in Capricorn is heralding the new way forward, because it is moving into new territory, and it will be supported now by Uranus in Taurus, obviously, because that will make the trine as it hits those early parts of Jupiter in Capricorn. So we're beginning to see where we're actually heading, and the fact that we all know that the old world order is dying and needs to change, and we're going to see that shift, and it'll be looking for where that shift will happen and where those opportunities occur to start to build new foundations and new ways of doing things. So particularly when you have the support there of Uranus, who will revolutionise and bring forward new priorities and values to us all. Jupiter will just give us the chances to be able to put some of that into practice. So obviously throughout the year or throughout 2020, we will be looking at the effects of Jupiter in Capricorn. But when you sort of on the cusp of the shift, you can see and get inklings of where things are going to be heading, where the shift is likely to be happening, and possibly where those opportunities might be occurring for you. And like I say, that we're not in Sagittarius territory anymore. We're not into that fun, adventurous, carefree spirit. These opportunities are ones that will require, for you to put in the effort. These are not going to come as easily as they do when Jupiter is in his own sign of Sag. These are the opportunities which come with a price tag attached. It's like, yes, here is that new job that you want, here is that new house that you've always wanted, but you might spend the next year fixing the house up, or you might spend the next year learning new ways how to do things, new systems, learning how to do a new job, to maybe manage different things, to prioritise different things. So yeah, opportunities come with a price with Capricorn. And they are very much looking to not quick, instant rewards, but rewards towards the future. So there is that to bear in mind. So saying that, we have got the first planet to shift into Capricorn, which will be Venus, and that happens on the day of the new moon. So, like I say, even though it is the new moon for Sagittarius, it almost feels like having a party on a Sunday night, if you like, knowing that you've got the work to do the next morning. It isn't. It's fun for yourself, because Venus is saying the pleasure will come in a more restrained way. So you will probably see that in how people behave in the run up towards Christmas, and what they will be buying and what they will be spending, because Capricorn isn't one to be frivolous. It's this idea of having maybe more sustainable presents, or presents of value that people want, rather than just buying a load of tat, basically. And being a lot more conservative with your resources, just because you're thinking about planning for that rainy day, just in case, and so you can probably find that the high street will take a big hit. I mean, not that it hasn't already, but it'll be the changes to way that people buy and what they want and what has value. And I think that you can see a lot of that coming through in some the people saying buy second-hand things, buy things that have a provenance that you can then know where it comes from, know that it's from a sustainable source, know that it's a ethically good product. So you'll see more of those kind of things coming through, and people maybe not spending less on fast fashions and looking more towards investment buying, which is very much Venus in Capricorn. So Capricorn still likes quality, it still likes things that are expensive, but less of them, rather than say one product that is good, rather than several products that are worth very little. So so we have that on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday you get Neptune going forward, stationing and then moving faster, going towards being moving faster again. And Neptune's been retrograde since June 21st, when we were in the middle of all the Cancer Capricorn chaos. And so it's almost as if our dreams and our ideals have been on hold since then. It's been much harder to manifest those ideas, and because of all the work that's been going on in the sort of Cancer Capricorn realm, and particularly the Capricorn realm, which is very much bound to this earth, maybe it hasn't felt like the right place to have those ideals and have those dreams. And it's interesting that just as things are moving into Capricorn again, and Jupiter is moving into Capricorn, that Neptune has now gone forward and is saying, even amongst all this, there is still a place for dreams, and there still is a place for ideals, and that kind of, not need to escape necessarily, although it can be that as well. It's being able to create beautiful and wondrous things that, that it can add that element of aesthetic beauty to some of this Capricorn stuff, which can be quite stark and sombre. So I think that that's actually quite a blessing that we have got that Neptune back running and in its own sign of Pisces, helping to balance out some of this very earthy, dry energy that's around. And almost to sort of herald that, you have then got Mercury trine to Neptune, and obviously Mercury now moving forward, gathering pace. It will move out of its shadow in another week. But I think that as we look forward to the year with Jupiter in Capricorn, and say very much of a Capricorn feel to the year, that you have still got this ability to dream, and that we should dream, and we should retain our ideals. And Mercury, who has spent quite a long time thinking and delving into the depths, as it's been in Scorpio, is saying that now we've thought about all of this, where can we use some of this knowledge that we've acquired and apply it in a creative way to some of the situations that we now find ourselves in. So it's about, we know that there is going to be sort of almost a new world dawning, and say with the demise of the old order, but how can we imagine our world better? And particularly as we are forced into being practical and level-headed, and with a very strong work ethic in these Capricornian times, it is important to be able to add that Neptunian flavour of imagination and beauty and aestheticism to some of this, in order for us to find that pleasure that that we will lose as Jupiter moves out of Sagittarius. So that to me is a very positive thing. Although on a trine, sometimes you might find that people can get a bit carried away with their imagination and their ideas. So watch out particularly for the spin times that we might, or we're already under spin times in terms of the politics that are happening, but particularly as in under this influence of the trine of Mercury to Neptune, there'll be a lot of idealistic words said, but there could also be a lot of dark, deceiving words either as well. So be very aware of how others might choose to try and manipulate you into seeing their perspective. And the other aspect again which features into this, which will be on the 28th of November, is Venus trine to Uranus. And this is what I was saying about the Capricorn and the Taurus energies meeting up together. So whenever we are going to find Earth this year at the beginning of that sign, so cause currently we're looking around 6-7 degrees for Uranus, we are going to get a hit of that excitement, a hit of that revolutionary idealistic energy leading us forward into the new decade, and it can give us that bit of a spark and a bit of life in amongst, to say, some of this quite dry energy that we have around. So Uranus giving Venus a nice little kick and a little bit of excitement there, but also kind of revolutionising that earth energy, and earth can very much benefit from that, because it is usually quite a slow moving conventional type of energy. So having a little bit of Uranian excitement in there can really be very radical for a lot of people, because for the majority of people, they like conservatism, they like being to know where things are, and I mean conservatism with a small c, not a large one. So having things that revolutionise but that can appeal to many people, it is very exciting, because it is saying that yes, we will give you change, but it won't be in a way that will scare you or put you off. It's something that you can believe in and has legs and that can lead us forward, but still be different and unique. So particularly, say, as we've talked about before, in areas of ethics and sustainability, in areas such as that, but also in our values as a society. What do we value? Do we value fast money, frivolousness, wastefulness, having things for the sake of having them, or do we value things that have potency and power and longevity, and that will not only sustain us but sustain the world around us and future generations as well? So we had that lovely kick of that towards the end of the week. And on a personal level, it might mean that, in terms of your relationships with others, you might get to do something a little bit different, or they have the opportunities to do things a little bit different. So, go on a date night somewhere where you've never been before, and bring a little bit of excitement into your lives, in a way that doesn't either scare or frighten you, which is very much the kind of down-to-earth ethic, and Uranus in a sign such as Taurus. So that's everything for me for this week. Next week we will have the definite shift from Sagittarius to Capricorn, with Jupiter moving over. So in a preamble to that, look where the next house is for you, where it's going to hit, and having that Jupiterian bit of luck there. I mean, it'll be a house that's been hammered quite a lot over the last few years, with having Saturn, Pluto first and then Saturn there. So this will be a house that'll be welcoming that little bit of good fortune. So have a good week, and I shall speak to you next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.